All right. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. Hey ladies, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Waalaikum assalam
assalam.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. We are now officially live, but it does take a minute or two for it to roll over. But I would like to just extend my thanks, gratitude, and offer my salams to both you ladies. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Assalamu
Alhamdulillah.
Walaikum
Waalaikum assalam.
assalam. I'm trying to share this to my page.
Go ahead, take the time while I introduce. So tonight, you guys, I started a mini series called "A Rose Is Still a Rose," and it was focused in on topics that is relevant to our journey back to ourselves, having a positive, good relationship with ourselves, understanding truly what self-worth means, having a good, healthy sense of self-worth, and really being able to explore this, especially with women. And so this topic today is called the humble art of being seen and worthy. Walaikum salam, Sadia. And to all audience members that are tuning in, I ask that you go ahead and start sharing the live. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for joining us. This is a very important topic. I was really inspired. I want to just say this really quickly by this topic because as someone from the outside that sort of watches other creators and other people that create, I was inspired. I saw a recent photo shoot that who I'm about to introduce, Byrd Uqdah did with the lovely Naimah to celebrate a milestone, which we'll talk about. I was really just inspired by how beautiful this process of aging or going into a new phase was made, especially when women often seem to shrink when they reach a new age or there's a new milestone, or we're often told to shrink in so many spaces. And just the beautiful how she made it humble and beautiful and just appropriate. It was just really, really appropriate. And I was really inspired to create this podcast. But I want to officially introduce my guest here today. I have the extraordinaire. Okay, I think she's world renowned now. I think her pictures are all over the globe. I do think so. She's based in Atlanta. She's a portrait photographer specializing in modern portrait. She's really well known for her maternity and motherhood shoots, but she's also really an expert at personal branding, and she does amazing headshots. Her life's mission is to help celebrate, uplift, and empower women around her. She's really focusing on empowering women. And one of the things that's really inspiring about Crystal, just as someone who's kind of just seeing your journey, is just how passionate you are with your art, in that you do something, and I don't say this lightly, that I've never seen done before. Like, I mean, we see photography all the time. Mashallah, I know it's a brilliant art, but I've never seen it done in such a way where it's like, I don't know, watching a movie or it's just amazing. So I can't wait to really talk to you more about what you do and how well you do it. So it's my honor to have Crystal on the show. So welcome, Crystal.
Thank you.
And alhamdulillah, we have a returning guest. She's been here a couple of times. Mashallah, she's also been with our live show. And this is Naimah Abdullah. She was born in New Mexico, but she now resides in Atlanta. She's the somewhat retired secretary of Atlanta Match. It returned. So she
right. Allegedly
retired. She's the owner of Get It Done Virtual Assistant Company. She's a fashion consultant. She's well known for coordinating the Seal Nectar Fashion Show, which we all like to partake in. People travel to the show in Atlanta yearly. She's a triathlete, project manager, fundraising strategist, a podcast creator of the podcast Rock the Crown.
Yeah.
Welcome, Naimah, to the show.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for having me once again. And I'm so honored again also to be here with Naimah, because this experience was
woo. Oh, let's make sure we say AKA Naimah, because somebody might get confused.
And that's the thing. I'm like, I want to make sure I'm calling you,
Yeah, it's all good. If you look me up, if you know me, then you know me as Naimah.
Right.
If you know me, right?
Well, thank you for being here, ladies. This is a really important conversation because one of the things, and I want to start with you, Crystal, aka Naimah. I wouldn't have to call you Crystal because it's too Naimah.
That's what I'm saying. We'll just use Crystal as for the rest of the stuff.
So one of the things I want to start with you is that I noticed, and I don't know how intentional it is, but it seems like you amplify, you're able to bring out the beauty within women that are approaching what may be perceived as challenging or difficult transitions of life. Like a woman who is pregnant. I mean, I've had 3 babies. I felt ugly with every pregnancy, right? Or a woman reaching a milestone such as aging, turning the age of 40 or 50 or beyond, right? These sort of extremely important milestones in life, or even a woman that's stepping out in a new business, which is really, really scary. I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. Is that, first of all, is that intentional, where you really are targeting women who are really approaching a very scary phase, or a phase where maybe they might be inclined to shrink?
Yeah, I mean, when I first rebranded my business in 2017, I had good intention. I didn't really have a pure intention at that time of what it was going to look like. And I struggled for a long time with, how can I just get started? How can I just like push on to this next level? Like, I know I want to take photos. I think I want to take pictures of women. I think I want to focus on that. I think I definitely don't think I want to do weddings anymore. Like, I was trying to figure it all out. And at that point in my life, I was going through probably the deepest, darkest depression I've experienced. So, having a life that was full of activity and energy and friends and all sorts of things, to now have a child that was diagnosed with autism, having another baby right after that, losing a job that I felt emotionally attached to, all at the same time, took me into a whirlwind of darkness that I had never experienced before. I had experienced darkness, but on that level, absolutely not. So, experiencing that for myself, the one thing I wanted was to not feel that way anymore. You go into a complete level of isolation and feeling as if no longer are you even thought of. No longer is anybody even checking in on you anymore. And no longer is anybody even inviting you. You lost all the invitations to the baby showers and the weddings, and you're watching it on screens. You know what I mean? And now you're just like, you don't even know that you're who you thought was your really good friend was getting married next week. You're finding out about it, or that everybody got together who you once hung out with to throw someone a baby shower. And you're like, oh, wow, dang, I didn't even know about this. So you end up getting into a space where you no longer feel that you are who you are. Right. And then one of those things is I did not also feel worthy of myself. And even though I had people around me who loved me, my husband told me every day that he loved me. My kids loved me, my family, all of that kind of stuff. My friends loved me, even though they kind of forgot about me. I know they love me. But if you also don't feel that within yourself, I gained like 100 pounds, you know what I mean? Like, I literally had gained 100 pounds from having 2 babies back to back. And I look in the mirror and hated myself. I hated myself. And it wasn't until I was inspired through who is my mentor, and I came across her and her platform, and I really got a chance to dig into some of her classes, which she had, which the first thing she said, and even though she's not Muslim, the first thing she said is make an intention. Right. Make an intention. And her first set of videos in that platform were that everybody said, hey, I was like, hey, well, I'm new here. Okay, start off with self-value. And I had to listen to these videos of this woman telling me, you're worth it. You're worth it. You're worth it. You're okay. Yes, you may have been poor, but that doesn't mean you don't deserve. Just, yes, you may be overweight, but that doesn't mean you don't deserve. And I had to kind of put that inside of my heart and rework my heart and kind of purify myself and really just kind of cleanse myself of all of the negativity that I had basically fed myself. And it brought up everything from the past. It brought up all of the hurt from my childhood. It brought up everything from my youth. It brought up everything from previous relationships. Like had to basically reflect in a way that I had never reflected in my life. And it tore me all the way down. And this process of rebuilding myself and kind of finding a passion and starting to feel a little bit of spark, just a little bit at the time, because it still wasn't enough. It made me feel like, yes, I am worthy. Yes, I am. So when I really figured out how I can get the message out to the masses, I created my first portrait campaign, which was called Worthy. And the Worthy campaign, I made a call for women who were experiencing a transition in their life, which was like me. And I was looking for women who had went through something. We had, Katrina came, she had a big hair chop, and it was like the things that you may not have thought, like that's a big deal for someone, you know what I mean, who may have always had long hair and decided to just cut it all off. And we had, some of our guests had just came from a mastectomy, you know what I mean? Like, we had people who had just got, a brand new job, and it was like all of these women. And every single time that I sat down with these women, I would hear them tell me their story and where they are in their life. And it was like a therapy for me because number one, I finally was having adult conversations again. Right. Because I'm stuck at home with these kids and my husband's got to work and, we don't get a chance to hang out as much anymore. So then I'm sitting here like finally having adult conversations. And then at the same time, I'm being almost able to release through my own hands. And I would sit there for hours and edit the images. And it was almost as if I was getting to know them even deeper when I would sit there and look at their face for an hour and just, coloring and smoothing and moving things around, taking hairs out from the sides and all that kind of stuff. I felt like I was getting to know them on a very deep level. Somebody would allow for me to look right into their eyes and basically blossom in front of me. You come in, you don't know me, and you're scared to death. Right. And your shoulders are up and your eyebrows are lifted. And then I can get you to come into a beautiful, stance and really just kind of become just like this most natural essence of yourself. So for me, yes, it's very intentional. I want to, the beautiful ones, and we're all beautiful, but the ones who have always got the attention, the ones who are the tall, slim, and look great in everything that they wear, they always have the opportunities for photo shoots. They're giving these people free stuff, right? But every single woman actually deserves to feel that same way. Right. And it's just a miracle to me how something like so simple of a photo shoot can literally transform a person to literally like be able to see themselves for the first time, like literally look at themselves as a reflection, and they've never in their life may have ever felt beautiful. And I've shared with you that story about, some of my clients who, have shared with me that they've never felt the being the beautiful person. And I've had people confess to me about that and how much it actually meant to them to be able to be seen in that kind of way.
That's powerful. Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that and just sharing that process and journey. Naimah, I wanted to pop over to you because I know you've had similar experiences. And like I said, I was inspired because I saw your photo shoot. And I know you and I had talked a little bit about like, the transformation of just embracing your 50, right? You're 50. You might not believe that you're 50, but you're 50. Right. And usually for a lot of women, and I'm often approaching for the podcast to kind of talk about this is, the art of aging and sometimes how in our communities is, it's a scary time. It's a difficult time. It's a time when things begin to change. Tell me a little bit about your process of making or embracing this new stage of your life?
Oh man, I kind of want to go all the way back to where where I was not seen. So for me, the art of being seen is how I see myself. It's not even necessarily art of being seen around other people or other people seeing me. It's like, what do you see in yourself? And how worthy does that show up? And that's kind of what this photo shoot was about. It's about how I have evolved from the little girl from Las Cruces, New Mexico, that, you know, got married early, had four children early, that was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, that kind of matriculated into like working at the Mansion and going through the community, but doing all of these various events, and then just continuing to build and build and build and build and build upon myself and accepting myself. So like, even when I moved here, for a long time, I kept saying I would never live. I'm not going to live in Atlanta. I'm not living in Atlanta. We're not moving to Atlanta.
Don't they all say that?
No, yeah,
right? Everybody says that. And so we ended up moving here to Atlanta in like 2004. And that was the first time that anyone had ever asked me to be in a fashion show. And this is why, that's why the fashion show is so important to me. It literally will transform you. So like, even being seen just like on a runway or in beautiful clothes, and to be able to walk in this grace and this presence, and really this grace and this presence of modesty, dignity, with other beautiful women around you, this sisterhood that we had and still have with the fashion show, that was really a turning point for me. So being in the fashion show, and then, you know, I just happened, so Nefertari, who was one of my best friends, she just happened to move here a month after I moved here. So of course, we became really, really close because number one, we were both, you know, women. Then we had all these children together, and she had a fashion line that she was really just developing. And so she was just like, hey, can you take pictures? And I was like, me? Pictures, right? And so she would have me, you know, take pictures at her photo shoot. And that's where I really started saying, you know what? I am worthy. I'm worthy, not just because I look a specific way, but because I am a specific way. I'm developing into this beautiful person. And then I continue to kind of like move through all these spaces of like working. And so my dad was really, really a big proponent of like community life. He loved to be at all of the city hall meetings. And when we were in Texas, he would love to take us to the Harambe Festival. And we lived on one side of town, but he felt it was super, super important for us to always go to the west side of town, where we had family members and people who were less fortunate. And so he always made sure that we understood that there's always someone that has less than you, but everybody has a space of dignity, and that your contribution to yourself and to the world should always be about dignity. So, you know, it was a long, everybody's seeing the glossy side right now, right? But it was a lot of struggle that I had to go through, a lot of experiences I had to go through, you know, being a young, I mean, just a lot of stuff. And so I love Crystal because I like, when I started seeing all these pictures of all these beautiful women, I was like, man, she's doing the daggone thing. I'm gonna do that, right? And so I started seeing different people, even in our community, doing it. And I was like, you know what? That's what I want to do. I want to make sure that I put a stamp on this 50 years, because at one point in my life, I never even felt like I would ever be 50 years old. I always felt like I was going to die early. I don't know why. And so like, when I hit 50, I was like, oh my God, I am actually 50 years old. I made it, right? And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a photo shoot, and I'm going to do it with Crystal. And I want it to represent who I have, you know, kind of grown myself into be, but also who Allah has grown me into be. How He has put me in these situations and circumstances and grown me through community and being able to work. He has grown me into. So what you see on the outside is the beauty that He's put on the inside for me.
Right.
And so that's the art of being seen. How Allah has this this develop whatever Allah, only the character that Allah can develop in you. So I was like, okay, yeah, And everybody's like, you always doing so much. It's because Allah wants me to do so much.
Right.
And people are always trying to shrink us by saying, oh, you work too much. You need to slow down. You need to do this. Let me be how Allah put me in this position, whether it's in my community, my life, and all these other things. And so I've always been an athlete. So again, coming to Atlanta, beginning running, Nora Goodson. I mean, she just has this beautiful movement of like women being able to, move, period. Right. And so running for several years. And then a group of us have transitioned into being these triathletes. Like now we bike, run, and swim. And I'm taking pictures of me. I'm a triathlete, right? So when Crystal called me, she was like, what do you want this photo shoot to be? And I was just like, yeah, I'm a queen. Right. I was like, I have the looks that I want, right? And I was like, I'm a triathlete. That's what and I know that none of this stuff was anything that anybody else had done before, but it was me.
Yeah.
And that's what was more important. And I was like, you know what? I'm a businesswoman, right? And then, I'm 40 over 40, the 40 over 40 series. And so then I was talking about these colors. And so because I'm from Las Cruces, everybody knows, if you know me, I love colors. So I'm always wearing all these extravagant colors. So when I was like, yeah, I had this orange dress, she was like, orange?
I only get nervous because I'm like, am I going to be able to get the light right for it?
Right. And so she was like, okay, well, we're going to work on that. We're going to work on the light. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to bring my triathlete outfit. And we were outside doing all kinds of stuff. But I had a ball. I brought my bike. I was like, I'm bringing all of my stuff. And and when we were having the interview of like, how do you want this to be? And one thing I told her is like, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
And that's the art of being seen. When you can be proud of who you are as a person, what you have contributed, and not focusing on what other people say, not focusing on if people like you. Because I had such a bad disease when I was young. Number one, I had low self-esteem. My esteem really didn't even start peaking until I was 37 years old. Let me just tell you that. 37.
Right. Like many of us.
Before that, I always worried about if people, like I could be in a room and if people were talking, I always felt like people were talking about me.
Right.
I never felt like I was the cool girl or that people liked me or that women liked me. I just always had this very negative idea about myself. And I continued to tell myself that over and over and over. Now, whether or not it was true, it doesn't matter. If you believe it, then it's true, right?
Or believe. And I wanted to chime in there, if that's okay. I wanted to ask you guys, because I want to make this relevant to some of our viewers, and I'm going to start with you, Crystal, then I'm going to come back to you, Naimah. But like, based on your experience, because you're not just a photographer, you're also kind of like a therapist, low key. What are some,
she is.
Based on your experience, what are some of the reasons why women tend to shrink or tend to struggle with their self-worth or really have a difficult time just being seen, even by their own selves? What are you seeing? Like, what's the struggle?
I am seeing a lot of things. I'm seeing that it's not just one answer. I'm seeing that most of this, and there's only so much that people will share with you, but I feel that a lot of times it could be multiple things. I feel like with Muslim women specifically, there is a pressure of being a certain type of way, looking a certain type of way, walking a certain type of way. Like there's a lot of pressure. And then you feel like you've been almost like confined. Mm-hmm. And then eventually you're like, I need to be able to just be me. Right. And I think that some people will come and just want to do that. I think that in other cases, like myself, like there's things that have happened in your childhood that you've never, ever shook off. I mean, I don't want to get too detailed. I don't want anybody thinking I'm telling their stories, but, we've had people whose parents, talked about their hair when they were growing up, or like were angry when they were brushing their child's hair, and that maybe they'd never felt that their curls were pretty. You know what I mean? And they had their hair straightened their whole life. And then one day they're like, no, I'm going to do this. Wow, my hair actually is super beautiful. You know what I mean? You have people who, their whole lives have been ridiculed because they were dark skinned, You know what I mean? And never in their life had felt that they were beautiful because they were dark skinned.
Right.
And maybe in recent times, they were like, you know what, this is who I am. What I've really been reflecting on lately, and I've been reading upon the difference between um, self-acceptance and self-esteem,
Hmm.
and that there's self-esteem and then there's self-acceptance.
Right.
And self-acceptance is when we don't have to necessarily look for others to help us get self-esteem, right? Self-acceptance is when we can be inward with ourselves and be able to accept the things that are flaws in our world and be okay with it.
Yeah.
For myself, I remember a little bit more than a year ago, I was, I mentioned I was very unhappy with my weight. And I remember I was at a photo shoot and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I'd avoided looking in the mirror. And I'm
Hmm.
not the only person who understands that. Like, I literally avoided looking in the mirror. And some people say, well, Crystal, you're such a beautiful girl and you're so pretty. And I can't imagine that, and I've heard that my whole life.
Right.
But it doesn't matter what you think about what you think about me. It's about what I think about me. And if
Right.
I'm looking in the mirror and I see me, doesn't I don't look the same as how I know how I look. I'm
Absolutely.
looking like somebody else. And not only is it me what I look like, it's how I feel. I don't like the feeling of I'm walking from one room to the other and I'm out of breath. Like, I don't feel okay right now. But
Yeah.
right now, I decided to look in the mirror. And I
Okay.
took a picture of myself and I posted this picture on Facebook. And I said, I am posting this because I want today to be the last day that I feel this way about myself. And I
Wow.
want to be okay with myself. And
Wow.
from that time, I then learned that I had like acid reflux disease and that I treated myself. I basically diagnosed myself with this and treated myself. And I didn't cure myself completely. You can't cure it, but I've treated myself to the point where I was able to manage it. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm no
Mhm.
longer walking around out of breath. I lost 60 pounds. You know what I
Woo.
mean? Like, I was able to do that all based off of like a food diet. Right.
Okay.
And it was like a very restrictive diet. It's not fun. This is not for you just wanting to lose weight. This is not fun. You will not hang. If you're suffering, you'll do it. But if you're not suffering, you probably will not volunteer to do this diet. But
Okay.
anyway, at that time, I just realized that when I gave myself the ability to love myself, the doors
Right.
open. It's like Allah just was like, Bismillah, go ahead. Now you can lose that weight you've been trying to lose for the last 6 months, but you can't get it off. You've been dieting, you've been walking. It's not coming off. Why? Because you didn't realize you had acid reflux disease, number one. But then two, like, you need to give yourself permission for everything, right? I
Yeah.
remember when I was in one of my mentors' Facebook groups, and I remember somebody had posted a beautiful set of portraits, and on the last portrait, it was a woman with a tear rolling down her eye, and she said at the time that she told
Mhm.
her, "Go ahead, you have permission to be beautiful." And
Wow.
I never forgot that. I got chills thinking about it now. I don't even remember who took the photo.
Right.
But I remember that, and I've always kept that in my head. And I always want to like tell my clients that you have the permission to be beautiful and give yourself that permission. Because at the end of the day, sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to walk into those next phases in our lives. So, and I did that for myself. And I feel that a lot of my clients are giving themselves permission to be vulnerable, to be beautiful, and to experience something.
Right. Right.
When I'm dealing with portrait clients, it's a little different from branding clients. On the
Uh-huh.
branding side, yes, it's those women who are like saying, you know what? I've got a great idea.
Right.
I've got a great idea and I'm ready to just do it. And I've been listening to people tell me that this stuff's not going to work for the last too many years. And I'm ready to just be like, F it. I'm tired of
Right.
people telling me that this is too expensive and she costs too much or she's this or she's that. Nah, I'm done. I'm ready to just go all in and I'm ready to do it because I was that person.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I love branding because I love helping people on that business journey. Right.
Right. Right.
And then on the portrait side, it's more of like, oh, this is something I've always wanted to do. We've been all talking about this dream photo shoot since we were 12 years old, right? I know everybody has. I remember having these conversations when I was a kid. When I have a photo shoot, I'm going to be on a motorcycle and I'm going to be doing this and my hair is going to be doing this. And we all talk about these dream photo shoots. And then you turn 20 and then you turn 25 and then you turn 30 and then you turn 35. And then I think what happens at 40-ish, people are like, you know what? I've been talking about doing all this stuff and I might be dead next month. So let's go ahead and get started with this because I'm tired of it. And also the pandemic really did give people an opportunity to be reflective of the fact that, you know, one, life is short. And then two, you know, where's my memories? You know what I mean? Where's my memories? Are they just on my phone?
Right.
You know what I mean? Do I have anything I can give my kids when I'm gone? You know, and really it's just like those are the things that are the most important. And I think that when you come to a certain age, you just start to reflect on that. You know, you start to reflect on what's important to you.
That's beautiful.
And it's not about, and I always tell people, what I'm offering you right now, what I'm telling you this cost, it's actually where so much money that I don't even know how to even charge for it. Like I literally, I'm just giving you a number right now because literally like this is worth so much money that I can't even like quantify it in real life because this is not just photos. What this is it's an attachment to the way you felt that day. This is how you feel today. And that feeling is more valuable than the tangible image. The feeling is what is bringing you the joy. The feeling is the peace that will give you happiness for the rest of your life. You're paying one time. You're paying one time for something that is going to outlive you.
Yeah.
And I have pictures in this room of great grandparents that I don't even know. And I treasure them. And someone's going to treasure the images that you leave behind as well. And Naimah, they're going to see this sparkly grandma, this sparkly great grandma who was like, they might not even be that way. They might just be the most like plain Jane. And they was like, my great grandma was a sparkly diva.
Okay, was fly.
I mean, they're going to be like, wow, who was this person? And they're going to want to know everything about you. And I think that is, I think that's just magnificent. And I think that photography, to be able to do that and to be able to gift somebody that, I feel like it truly is a form of dhikr for me.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Naimah. That's Crystal. That's super beautiful. I really appreciate that. Naimah, I wanted to chime off of something that Crystal mentioned because I think it's important. What she mentioned specifically with Muslim women. I wanted to focus in on that because I know, like I mentioned, you have been known to do the Sil Nectar fashion show for some time now. That is a focal point of Muslim women. I wanted to talk a little bit about, like, just based on your experiences, what you've seen, the work you've done in the community, when it comes to Muslim women, the struggle that we have. Like, I think that Crystal explained it beautifully, like kind of this boxed in. We have to be like this, that. And at a certain point, sometimes it all falls. I know it all fell for me. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what happens to us often? And how do we find our way back to ourselves?
I think what happens to us often is we are reading books and being told to be a woman through a man's eye, to be honest.
Ooh, girl, you're going to start something.
Yeah, it's just honest because, again, we have a lot of books that were written by men, a lot of the Quranic ayats that were translated by men, and it's from a man's perspective. But a man could never tell a woman how to be a woman.
Right.
He never will understand what it means to be a mother. He'll never understand what it means to have an empty womb or to have to take or have to remove your breast and still be a woman. He'll never understand what it means when we have our menses monthly and when we have to stop having our menses. He'll never understand what it means to have hot flashes. You know, he'll never understand what it means to have a child suckle from your breast. So we as women, our story is vast, right? And so when you're reading it on a book and somebody's telling you, you know, yeah, we know that we have to dress a specific way, but nowhere in the Quran or anywhere does it say we can't be beautiful in the process. And so what I think that just kind of like when people say, you know, being rich, you really can't be rich as a Muslim. That is not true. Everybody's not sleeping on a pallet and their houses are minimal. No, we have been given success, like Allah says, right? And we have to come to it. And so as Muslim women, we have to be able to say, it's okay to be beautiful. It's okay to be colorful. It's okay to be yourself, and it's okay to be transitional. And we forget about us as women. We are ever changing. And so when you tell a woman that she has to be a specific way, it's almost like you're telling her she can't ever change. And that's not true, because we change every single day. So like what I did in my 20s, I'm not going to be doing that in my 40s, right? And so embrace that. We as women have to embrace it first. But we can't be listening for someone else to tell us that we can't do those things. And that's what we also experience as Muslims. We hear a lot of can't stories. Can't. But as a Muslim, really our life is do.
Right.
And we have to embrace the do. There's a, like, when I start thinking about, like, even with these beautiful pictures, right? There's a portion of my life I didn't take pictures literally for almost 8 years. I don't remember what I looked like. I don't remember meeting people during that time period. I was just kind of like existing, right? And then when I again saw this, I mean, I was like, yeah, I am a swan. I am beautiful. I am, you know, worthy. I'm all of these different things. Then people want to also try to dim your light, like. I'm so beautiful.
I was going to talk about that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Amongst us as women, do we contribute to the breakdown? Because
definitely. Definitely. I mean, I think we're the biggest. I think we're our biggest enemies.
Is it about each other? You know, I want to ask you guys both something. Your opinion. I was watching something. I think it was on Red Table Talk. Jada Pinkett or one of her guests, but she was saying sometimes we're conditioned, especially as Black women, to choose survival over sisterhood. Right? There can only be one of us, the chosen one, most beautiful, the talented. What are your thoughts about that in terms of relationship from woman to woman?
Well, I mean, I've always been someone of sisterhood, and I've always been someone who I've never been the one who doesn't feel fool with females. I've never been that type of person. I've always been the type who has a lot of friends and networks and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that in a braggadocious type of way. I'm just saying that that's just my nature, is that I embrace and I love sisterhood. And I have circles of different types all over the place. So I don't feel the need to be the only one ever. I'm always the one who's going to be trying to get up here. I mean, today I had a mentor session with someone, and I told her the same thing I'm saying right now is like, I need friends who can eat with me, you know, like talk to Darina. She'll tell you. I was like, listen, I need someone who can actually go with me to the Ritz-Carlton for this for this thing. You know, what do they do? The little sandwiches. What is the tea time? I need someone who can afford that. So I'm going to help you along the way, because I'm not going to be in there by myself. Like I love going to the little hood spot to have me some chicken wings and everything, but sometimes I want to go and do something nice, and I need somebody to be able to go with me. Right. I want to go buy shopping and we can both walk out with a nice bag together. You know what I mean? So it's like, I cannot be the type of person who's just going to be the only one. If I'm up there, I'm working on getting you in there with me. You know what I mean? That's just how I am. But as far as like dimming the light, we can possibly be a part of that with each other, because just think about it. It's like, how many times, like I remember when I was growing up, I didn't necessarily see a lot of Black people doing it. Right. So then I would think, well, we don't do that. Right. And we can't do that. And I was automatically kind of programmed like that. It wasn't until I came to Atlanta and I was at a HBCU that I actually saw like just an array of Black folks who were so different from each other, from one end to the other. Like, it wasn't like the inner city where I was coming from, right? Yeah. It was so different. And And I had an opportunity to and I just would have never even thought like I would have friends that were ever going to be doctors and lawyers. I never thought of that. I mean, maybe it wasn't in my mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I've already had programmed my mind to think that we were limited beings. And then of course, like, you know, depending on how you were raised, if your parents are always telling you like, we're poor, we don't have, we can't do, we're not going there, we don't spend that kind of money, and we don't do this and that because we can't do that. How can you afford that? How can, oh my God, you spent $2,000 on a photo shoot. Oh my gosh, you could have spent that money doing this.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we do that to each other, and it makes somebody else feel shame for wanting to do something for themselves that they really wanted to do. And now they're sitting there questioning themselves like, well, maybe this is ridiculous. You know what? Maybe this is just stupid that I even wanted to do this in the first place. You know, maybe I wanted to wear like, I'll give you one last example. And I have to thank my beautiful mother-in-law because she sends me a text every time. Let me tell you guys. So I buy a lot of clothes for my studio. And last year I went on this little rampage. I was just buying everything. I was buying stuff. I was on Etsy. Like, I'm trying to find the most unique stuff. I don't want anybody else to be able to have this. Like, I'm buying crazy dresses, accessories, all sorts of. Naimah's been in my studio. She knows what I got.
Okay. And you saw the accessories I had on, honey. And everybody was probably like, who is that? Is that the secretary?
I mean, I got, you know, I'm like, the ostrich feather jacket, the dress, you know, like all the jewelry and stuff. I was like on a rampage. And then while I'm looking, there's this jacket that I found, and it's like a yarn jacket. It's I put it on my on a story one time, but and it's like purple and blue, and it's big. It's like huge, right? And it's just like all these little like yarns coming out. And I did not buy that for the studio. I actually bought it for myself.
I love it.
And my mother-in-law came in town, and she keeps on saying, Naimah, when are you going to put it on? And I'm like, I don't know yet. Like, there's something that still won't allow me to walk out the door with it on, because I have literally had been like in my head thinking, this is too much. This is, you can't do that. That's too much. But it's really inside of me. Right. And I said, like, I want to turn into the auntie who kind of just goes there. You know what I mean? Like, you seen those videos like that goes viral of like this old lady who lives in a pink house and everything in there is pink from top to bottom.
People think.
Like, I am that person on the inside. Like, I probably would do something like that. Like, I don't know if I can live in a monochromatic house, but I could just, if there's anything I literally probably could do if it was just me.
Yeah. And you know, outside. Yeah.
I could do that. Like, I love, like, I just started following like people who inspire me in all sorts of ways. Like, I feel like Erykah Badu is like a complete embodiment of art. Like, she literally is walking art. She sings, she looks like a piece of art at all times. And I felt like, this is how I feel on the inside. But for a long time, especially like through the early motherhood phases, you can't do nothing, you know, like you just turn into a blob. And some of y'all did really good during that season. I did not. I did very bad during that season. It was rough. I'm wearing the same shirt every day, scarf, shoes. We doing the same thing every day. But then after I kind of got tired of that, I said, no, I gotta step this up. And my husband, you know, he's a fashion guy, and he's sitting here like, girl, what's going on? Like, I know you want to do something more than this. And I'd be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm too big. And I'm telling myself all of these negative things. And then I bought this jacket, and I got a whole closet full of stuff that's just it's definitely a little Atlanta masjid, I'll just say. So, it's definitely Atlanta.
I don't want to bring you to the masjid.
Oh yeah, it's Atlanta masjid for sure. It's sealed nectar all day.
Okay, we need to see that. Yes.
It's all of that. I just haven't had a chance to really wear it yet. But my mother-in-law she'll send me a text like every couple months. Have you put the jacket on yet? Have you put the jacket on yet? So I just feel that it's a reflection of of that dimming the light and trying to come out of the darkness into that light that exists within, and just being self-acceptance again, to basically, be able to welcome that side of myself.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And I think a lot of women are going through the same thing. I mean,
yeah.
if you're in the comments, say it, like if that's something
Right.
that you feel that you're going through or you're struggling with. And I love that the photo shoot can do that for people. I've had a lot of people say, like, after this, like, I literally feel like I am that chick. Like, I literally feel like you can't tell me anything, especially after one of my makeup artists do their makeup. They got an attitude off top.
Right.
Attitude, as soon as the makeup comes on, it's a whole nother person. But
and it's like that with the fashion show as well. But one thing I wanted to make note of is that if you hear the descriptions of how they talk about Black women, we are strong Black women, but it's in an independent sense. You never hear about a strong Black woman being a wife and a mother. It's always about her being an independent. And so when you see that, you're powerful and strong only by yourself, then that whole programming starts to kind of take place, right? And then even though you might have a group of your girls, if they're not in your girls, then it's kind of like they're looking at you side eye. I don't have that demeanor. I don't care about looking at nobody's side eye. I can be friends with any and everybody. I can be in 15, 20 different cliques. And my thing is, where can we shine our light together, right? And I can always teach you what I'm doing. I can teach you the same thing I'm doing. It's still going to be different because we're different, right?
Absolutely.
I don't care if you take this recipe that is whatever, because guess what? We have our own uniqueness. We're still genuine, even if we're doing the same thing. So to me, it's like, guess what? Everybody can be a part of it. What you want a promotion? Yeah, let's promote each other. Let's love one another. And when you find yourself, when you see a sister or you hear something about something and you feel that not good inside, check that with yourself and your Lord. Has nothing to do with that person. That has everything to do with you. And so we have to be also responsible for how we feel, what's uncomfortable with us. We have to navigate through all of that negative stuff that we grew up with. We have to be able to navigate through not being perfect. You're not perfect.
Having it all together all the time, doing it all.
That's the whole thing. Like with Muslim, they want the Muslim woman to be the antithesis of being perfect. Like she dresses perfect, she speaks perfect, she smells perfect, she looks perfect. She's
perfect wife, mother.
She's a chef. She's an interior decorator. She's superwoman. No, brother, I am a few of those things. And if you can accept it, alhamdulillah. And if you can't, alhamdulillah. But whatever a woman, and there's nothing about bringing the stuff to the table stuff. We're not doing all that. I'm bringing my
I can't
whole
be in those
self.
conversations. Yeah.
Right. I'm bringing my whole self, and accept me where I'm at and accept me where I'm going.
Exactly.
Because don't start hating on me when my light starts getting bigger. And that also happens in relationships with friends, especially among Muslim women. So like your husband loved you when you were meek and humble and docile, but then as you're growing and getting strong and getting beautiful and making money, then it's like, who you think you are? It's a competition. No, my brother, this is a benefit for both of us. If I'm strong, you're strong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm your backbone.
But you mentioned something powerful, Naimah, which is that relationship with yourself. I always say, like, if you haven't got to the point of self-acceptance, you're not going to be able to accept other people.
Yes.
You're constantly projecting out how you feel.
Absolutely. And I feel that, I mean, with even the photo shoot and even just me having conversations with the women who I speak with, especially even when I have conversations with other photographers who are starting a business. And I'm really like, I'm very passionate about helping other photographers and creating sustainable businesses. So if a Muslim sister comes to me and she's like, yeah, I want to do this photo shoot. And I'm like, okay, it's going to cost this much. And let's talk about branding. And they're automatically like, oh, I don't have that kind of money. I'm not here to shame. But what I'm trying to figure out is, why is this a lot of money for you? Because do you have, what is the block that's making you feel that this is expensive?
Right.
Because what's happening then is that if you have a business, you're probably not pricing yourself the right way. Why are you not pricing yourself the right way? Because you have decided in your mind that you're not worth it. Now there's
Yes.
some
Speak
things,
that.
there are
Yes.
some things that they cost. It's not something that's going to be a luxury. It's going to be
Right.
something that is a necessity. And there's probably a frame that person is going to make in general, right?
Right.
So we know that you're going to be between this block. If you decided to go into this industry, it's just a given. But if you're trying to have a scaled business that's going up and up and up, and you want to make some money, why are you charging $100 for a photo shoot? Right? Why are you charging X amount of dollars for a service? Why are you discounting services? So if you are someone
We
who
can
has a
definitely be in
service-based business, that means
Mhm.
you have to go and actually with your hands do something for someone. Why
Right.
is that discount? You are not a product.
right.
Retail, this hat I bought, right? I bought this hat. It was $84, right?
Right.
This does not cost me anything to sell this hat, right? My
Right.
time, if I'm at a retail, I'm making about $10 an hour, right? So whether this hat goes on sale, I still get paid $10 an hour, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm
Powerful.
working a service
Okay.
and my service fee is $50 an hour, and now I'm throwing this special out there and I'm working for $25 an hour, how does that benefit me?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Mm.
serve me at all. It
Yeah.
serves you, but then you're going to be you're looking for the bargain, you're looking for the deal, and then you're treating me as such, as if I owe you something, but yet I'm giving you the discount. That's not how we can work. We can't work like that as service
Work like that.
providers,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So we
Mhm.
have to we don't offer sales as service providers. We don't discount ourselves, which means you as an individual don't discount or dim your light for anyone. So
Mm.
what you can do is add more value. You can
Yeah.
add more value to yourself, to your business, and to everything that you do, right? So if you are a service-based provider, for example,
Yeah.
if you want to offer someone something, you can
Mhm.
offer them, for instance, I'm a service, right? My service costs X amount of dollars. And then Black Friday's coming. Instead of me discounting my service that I have to actually live off of,
Yeah.
Right.
what I can do is give you something extra for Black Friday if you book with me. So this Black Friday, for example, I am giving my clients an opportunity to purchase a product from me for half off, because it does not hurt me to offer you
Yeah.
something that I have a retail price for, right?
Right.
Because when
Right.
you're a business, you have a markup for
Yeah.
your retail price, and it
Right.
should be at least 6 times the markup, right?
Right.
So if
Right.
I give it to you for 3 times the markup, I still win.
Yeah.
But if I discount my service, I don't win at all. I
Mm.
And
have to
discount.
somehow give you that service 6 months later when I could be in a slump.
Right.
And
Mm.
then and then I'm going to just get half of what. That makes no sense. So that is connected to us dimming our light, because
Yeah.
you have assumed that you're not worth the full dollar.
Yeah.
And you
And discount
assume that
doesn't
other
mean
people.
religious.
Exactly.
Discount
And
does
you're
not mean
assuming,
religious. That's a
yeah,
big
and that,
Discount does not mean what?
discount doesn't mean that you're religious.
yes.
So what we have a tendency
Oh.
to think is that, like, oh, can I get a Muslim discount? Or if I give it to you for less, it's almost like I'm being charitable to you. Well, charity and business is 2 different things. And you can be charitable, but that has nothing to do with business.
Yes. And I think we should eliminate that. And that's why I was bringing it full circle to the question of, do we as a collective dim other
Yeah.
people's light? I
Yeah.
think that is a very prime example of us dimming light, is
Right.
because we will look at people who are service providers in our community and assume that they are going to do something for us at a different price than they would for someone else.
Yeah.
When we should be doing what we can to actually fuel and fund this person.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you this. I had a situation where when I was in my darkest and deepest sadness, I remember I was accused of something that was just ridiculous. It was the most ridiculous thing. And I remember feeling angry, so angry. And I said, I am never going to ask anybody in the community for nothing again. I'm never going to let myself be the one who has to ask for help. And Abdullah, that could have been like a little bit of like shaitan, that could have been some nafs or whatever. But I was so angry at the accusation that I felt so offended to the point where I said, I don't want to ever ask nobody. I said, the next time, Allah, I want to write the check.
Yes.
And we can't write those checks for the people who need it. We can't help build anything in our community if we're all poor.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We can't do it.
Can't do it.
So we have to fuel and fund the people who have the ambition, passion, energy, and actual drive and the vision to actually make it happen. You start to see someone in the community who looks like they can actually make something happen. Give them your money. Give it to them quick and be that person, because that person is the one who's going to be able to write that check as soon, because they're never going to forget. My foundation for my business is the Muslim community. My foundation for my business is the Atlanta Masjid, period. It was the Atlanta Masjid and my CAU alumni community who were the foundations of my first clients and my first business. I owe and I give to those people. I make sure that there's people who are in my community that I'm going to make sure first and foremost, if I'm not giving $1, I'm giving advice.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And my advice is way more than the $1 I give you.
Yes.
Right. That's beautiful. That's powerful advice.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, ladies, as we wrap up, what are some steps, some steps that a woman can take to stand in her own purpose, stand in her own light, and own being seen and worthy? Some steps.
Ooh,
if she's like totally stuck, she's lost, she don't know where, she was at that spot, Crystal, where you were, what are some steps?
The first is forgiveness.
I'm going to hear Naimah first. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to forgive yourself, because what we do is we beat ourselves up so much. For what? For what? For whose standard? So forgive yourself for if you felt like you weren't where you wanted to be, wherever, that's fine. Forgive yourself, right? And forgiveness means that you're letting go of resentment. You're letting go of anger. You're letting go of disappointment. You're letting go of all of those feelings that can't stand, that you can't stand in your truth with all of those feelings still residing inside of you. So forgiveness is a big barrier that is going to begin to help you feel worthy. And then once you forgive yourself, then accept where you're at. Where are you at, right? And then through your acceptance, you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm changing. So no, you're not the same 20-year-old. So no, you're not a size 8 or size 6 when you were 20 years old. I don't care if I'm a plus size model. I'm a plus size model. That's what it is, right? And I'm okay with that. Why? Because this is where I'm at right now. And as long as I'm continuing to wake up every single day and I am doing my best and I'm making my intention to be my best, then I'm at my best spot. Wow. And I'm not making excuses, and I'm not letting other people make excuses for me. And I'm not saying but and why and shoulda and can't. I'm not using all of those negative things. I'm only saying myself, Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala. Come to say. Allah says it's waiting for you. And if you have seen it in your mind's eye, it is available to you. You just have to take the steps to get to it. That's it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Naimah. Crystal, what do you have to add to that?
Let's ask that question one more time so we can make sure we're clear.
What are the steps, manageable steps, for the woman who's stuck, the woman who's in the dark spot, of how she can start to stand in her own purpose, stand in her own light, and be willing to be seen and worthy?
Yeah, I think that you got to start obsessing over you. Obsess over you. And I'm not saying rid yourself from the spiritual. I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about obsess over you, and whether that means getting into the spiritual too, right? But what I mean is start pouring into yourself and start writing down on paper, what are the things that you really want? You know, what is it that you dream of? I remember friends came to me and said, when I was in those days, you know, Naimah, what is it that you want? And I said, I don't know. I just want not to be like this. And this, come on, give us a big dream. Give us the big dream.
Yeah.
And I gave him a big dream. Okay, no. Let's get bigger than that. What's bigger than that? And I started to write these things down. Some of the advice that was given to me was writing those positive affirmations on my sticky notes and putting them um, on my mirror and telling myself these things that I was, like all of the things that I always knew that I was, and not allowing for all the negative things that people told me about myself to ring in my head constantly. And sometimes they still do. I still hear, you know, the bad stuff about me. And I still get myself crawled up into a little child, and hear these things. But I have to also keep coming back to me. What are the colors I like to wear? You know what I mean? What is it that I actually like to do? And when somebody says something to me negative in response to like what I'm wearing, or how am I responding to that when I know that I look good? You know what I mean? How am I pouring into myself? Am I hanging out with friends? Am I calling people and having a friend to talk to? I think one of the greatest moments is when even when I joined some of these Facebook groups that were industry related, like being able to actually meet other people who were in like-minded settings, so I could have somebody to talk to and get through all of this with. And we've cried on each other's shoulders when things weren't going good, and we've been there to celebrate each other during our wins. I think having friends really does help. At some point, I thought that I didn't really need friends. I had my kids, I had my husband. I didn't feel that I needed to have those type of sisterhood kinships, but I realize it's so important. And even if I don't even get a chance to always hang out, because I just have such a busy life, but I have my friends that I check in with almost every day. And guess what? I use FaceTime because I like to be able to look at their face and they look at my face, and it just does something to the heart to be able to have those types of connections with each other. And also having those physical interactions with other people are so important. And this pandemic, I think, taught a lot of us that. And being able to do that. But that will be one of the starting steps, is just kind of like figuring out where you are. Last thing, a sister had came to me and she had mentioned, oh, I need to get married and I need to do this, and then I'm trying to start this business and this and this and this. But one thing I will say is, once you've poured into yourself and this business journey, if you're doing a business, it's a journey for real. Like, if you really do it, it's blood, sweat, tears, and it is going to strip you down. And you will see yourself naked in that process. And you are going to literally, like, if you obsess over yourself and you obsess over the project that you have, then you're probably going to lose a lot of people around you. And even some of the relationships that you have may suffer a little bit. But then, like, there's a diamond under there. There's a diamond under there. You can see it, but nobody else can see. I'm digging because there's something right here and I got to get through and I'm going to grab it. Right. So everybody can't see it. But then when you have the diamond in your hand, everybody's like, oh, shoot. Hey, girl. Hey, we did it. We did it. We did it. Hey. And then your husband will be like, yeah, see, I told you. I remember when I was, you remember that? They all going to be there celebrating the wins with you. And they didn't quite understand. But then, like, you'll be able to have that balance again and all this and that, right? But what I'm saying is, like, you gotta put all that into you, because guess what happens? You build confidence.
Right.
You build confidence when you see that you've accomplished something. You build confidence when you lost that 10 pounds. You build confidence when you make that first 10K month. You build confidence when you finally, like, have maybe got an accolade or something like that. Like, it builds you this amazing confidence because you have seen that you have done something that you knew that you could do. And everybody was telling you they didn't know if you could do it. You know what I mean? I was told, oh, Crystal, I don't know if you're going to make that kind of money because I think you need to photograph celebrities to do that. Oh, you know what? I think you're only going to be able to get white people to be your clients and all this and that. Literally, no, this is literally what was told to me. And all of my clients are Black women for the most part.
Yeah.
My clients are not rich people. I have school teachers. I have CEOs. I have maids. You know what I mean? I have people who are surgeons. You know what I mean? Like, there is an array. I have people who are literally housewives, you know what I mean? And who have saved up their money to work with me. So there's no limit to what it's about what they value. It's about what they feel is important. And that's what they will spend their money on. So I say that to say, when you have the confidence and you have accomplished something, you have a task and you want to make it happen for yourself, you will understand how valuable you are. And you will not just marry any man. You will not just fall into any relationship because you want to be taken care of. You will seek and you will find the type of person who is a reflection of you. And that person, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about value. I'm talking about the type of person who's going to see you, no matter what your size is, no matter how you dress, no matter your age. Don't listen to what these people are saying on the internet. This is not real life. This is TV. Okay, this is ratings, this is likes and shares. In the real world, it's about value and what it is that you are shining like, and that person is going to shine a certain way as well. But when you're dull and muddy and sad and desperate, you're going to find someone who's going to love that type of stuff because they have other motives for someone like you. So I encourage you to keep digging for those diamonds that you see that nobody else can see. Shine it up, make it look good, and then you're going to be just like that diamond, and somebody else is going to come and all your friends are going to be just like those diamonds. My friends right now, I mean, like, I still love all the friends I've ever had. I think I have some of the greatest friends. Like, I've always been blessed with some of the greatest friends, the ones I talk to and the ones I don't talk to. Like, my friends are lit. Like, I can literally be like, hey, Sabria, you know, like, girl, I know we ain't talking a minute, but I got an idea for you. And she's going to come up with something to make it pop. I know I could talk to Naimah. I know I could talk to some of my friends from high school. Like, I have always kept good company. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I keep on attracting some really amazing people. And they help me just keep going up and up and up. And that's what you want. You don't want to just be feeling like a victim or feeling like you can't achieve things and nothing works for you. No, just focus on it. Grab it. Don't stop. Don't stop. Focus on it. If it ain't working, guess what you do next? You do something called pivot. You try it a different way. You maybe drop one piece. You drop one piece and you grab another piece that kind of falls off of it. If I'm not doing photography, guess what I might do next? I might mentor. If I'm not mentoring, guess what I might do next? I might consult. You know what I mean? If I'm not consulting, then guess what I might do? I might create a camera bag. You know what I mean? Like, I've got a pivot plan, you know what I mean, for everything that I want to do. So build yourself, shine like a diamond, attract good company. Pivot.
That's the one I needed. Okay.
And the last thing I want to say is, Crystal just said it, but be the person that people want to be hanging around. Because, and then you hang around those people as well, because sometimes we kind of get stuck where we're with our friends that maybe have been our friends forever. If they haven't evolved, neither have you. And so thinking about even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? His companions, who was he with? He was with the ballers, right? He was with those people who were elevating him. If you are around people who every time you have an idea or every time you do something great, they do not shine for you and they don't encourage you. If every time you say something that's beyond their capacity, they shrink you, you need to take those people off your list. And find people that every time you have an idea, they have a 2 cents to add to it. Every time you say you want to do something, they have something positive to say, because those are the people you need around you to grow you into your next stage, not the people who will keep you down. So think about Rasulullah, his companions, and your Sahaba.
I'm telling you, that is powerful advice, and it's like one of those lessons that can be a painful lesson. Sometimes you're forced, you know, in this space where you know you got to leave people behind, and it hurts, or people leave you behind. But it's a very, very powerful, and it's a sign of growth. Yeah, man. Thank you guys. Ladies, thank you so much. I think I really needed this conversation. So many of us needed this conversation. Thank you for the work that you do. Crystal, thank you for contributing to our community, making it more beautiful. You know, amplifying what needs to be amplified, just really being able, I didn't even get to touch on, but I did really want people to know, like, you know, the maternity shoots that she does, and just I mean, like the phases of life that she really highlights. And again, like I said, I mean, that was my most depressed time when I was pregnant right after childbirth. And so just seeing it in a totally different light, I'm like, dang, man, I wish I could do it all over again.
Yeah, no, I didn't even get, I didn't really even get any real like maternity pictures. I did do one with me, and when I was pregnant with Zaid, Joy did some maternity pictures, and they were absolutely beautiful. And that was the only time I really had a real maternity photo shoot. And then she threw a couple in there for me. Like she showed up at the house, like, can you take these pictures real quick? But other than that, and then my friend Ottawa, she passed some about a year ago or two. She took some photos of me when I was pregnant with Nia, my first child. And I know that to me, maternity is a rites of passage. Yeah. And I feel like the maternity shoot has turned into that rites of passage. And it's a chance to honor yourself and the body that that you have. And also that's why, like, you know, for people who are into it, you know, they may have something where they're not wearing their clothes. I mean, I'm not here to, like, I love that type of work. I know that's not really liked, but that's just how I feel about it. But I think it is beautiful. But it's a miracle in itself. And I just absolutely love doing maternity work. I love doing the mother and me shoots after they've had the baby and they're holding them. Yesterday we did a mommy and me, and her little one was just so feisty, and we didn't know if we were going to get any pictures, but she just fell right into her mom, and we got beautiful pictures. And it was beautiful because I almost cried, because she nursed her baby while she was like, you know, a year and a half, and she nursed her during the shoot. And just the calm and the love that she had while she was nursing her baby, like, it was so emotional. And it was so beautiful. And I was just like, this is just a beautiful moment to see this mother and her child in this nursing. And I wanted to capture it because this was her only child. She didn't plan on having any more kids. She's 40 years old as well. And also she was getting close to the time of weaning. So it was like, you know, I'm going to miss this moment. I remember feeling like I miss being able to have that baby right next to me like that. And those times are so short. Like, they literally are short.
You never get them
They
back.
really are. So I really do enjoy maternity, and I love the mother in me, and I love doing the 40 over 40 portrait shoot. I love seeing the women turning from a milestone birthday. I'm even doing shoots with women who are younger, and you know, in their 20s and 30s and stuff like that. But I seriously enjoy seeing my peer group who are all turning 40, and then also the ones who are 50 and the ones who are 60, and even the OG mamas, you know, turning 70 and 80. It's beautiful. I'm going to have a lot of those for this holiday season. So I'm looking forward to doing all of that. And it's beautiful to watch women transition. And also, do we have time for my story of the 60-year-old that I shared with you?
We have a brief moment, and then I want you to just tell people where they can contact you and where they can plug into you if they're interested.
Okay, I'll say this really quickly. Okay. So my most transitional moment in portrait photography, and the day that I found out what my why was, it was the first time I worked with my makeup artist, Richard, and we had a client who had basically got booked because her husband, she told me that was not her husband, but he said that this is his wife. So he booked this shoot for her. He wanted her to feel special and beautiful. She came in, she had a wig that was like almost covering her whole face, just like this, like a hijab, like literally like around her face. And she was just like this little lady. She was supposed to have had these clothes brought in. He was supposed to be getting clothes made for her. And then she like did not come with any of these things. She had cardigans and office clothes. And I was like, what is happening here? I had brought a dress in the studio. I didn't have a wardrobe back then. So I just had like a couple things. And my makeup artist was like, okay, are you going to wear, the dress? Do you want me to do anything with your hair? And she tells him, well, I'm wearing a wig and I have alopecia and no, don't do anything. And she was just real standoffish about it. And then I took her picture. We started off. I said, well, I'll do some headshots then, some work stuff. And I showed her the back of the camera, and all of a sudden a tear rolled down her eye. And I said, oh, what's going on? Like, why do you feel so emotional right now? And she said, I am almost 70 years old, and I have never in my life felt like a beautiful woman. And I said to myself, well, first of all, you are. We told her. And we affirmed her and made her feel good. And she put that dress on and she let us do her hair and she came alive. But I realized my why is to affirm the women who have not been affirmed their whole lives. And it is my passion and my desire to make every woman who comes into my space feel something that she's never had a chance to feel before, or build upon a feeling that she had at one time. And even at the age of 60 and 70, that she can remember that even though she's not the same being anymore, she doesn't look the same, her youthfulness is gone, that she's transformed into someone else who's just as beautiful, who's just as magical, who has a different look, she can look at that person with the wrinkles and the gray hair and still say, damn, I'm bad. You know what I mean? And I want her to feel that way. And I never will forget that day of her and that tear rolling down her eye and her being that old. And I said, I never want to live that long and feel as if I am not a beautiful person. And I've got to stop this with me today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful and powerful, Crystal. Mashallah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I just really appreciate both you ladies for showing up and showing out. Crystal, can you tell us where we can find you, book you, all of that?
So you can go to my website, and I can put it in the comments too. It's lovebirdphoto.com. Lovebird, Bird is BYRD, lovebirdphoto.com. I'm also, if you go to Lovebird Photo, you automatically can get to my branding website, which is Crystal on Brand. If you have a business and you need branding photos or headshots, so just go to Lovebird Photo. The captions say Love Red Photo. It's the Love Bird Photo. And from there, you can get to my branding page. If you want, there's a little bit of information on there. Frequently asked questions. That's probably your friend right there. Read those first before contacting me. And then there's a read it. Please read it. If you don't like what you see in the frequently asked questions, just hold off until you're ready to talk to me. So it doesn't mean no, it just means not right now. But
that's
coming back, you'll be there. We offer afterpay, and I do have financing available. And guess what? It's interest-free for 18 months. It's on you. It's on you, sweetie. If you can make it in the 18 months, I think you can. And I do have that. I have prepayment plans. I have everything. So if you want to work with me, if you want to have a piece of art that you can actually have and it's a treasure, then this is the type of shoot that you want to have.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. And so at the bottom of the screen, guys, you can see I have Naimah's website there, lovebirdphoto.com.
And you guys can find me on Instagram too. DM me. Don't DM me on Facebook. It's really hard to see the filtered comments. You can jump in my inbox on Instagram if you need to. Just don't send me a whole bunch of memes and forwards.
Yeah, please. Thank you so much. And Naimah, can we drop a little bit of like where they can find you? Because I know you do virtual assisting and project management. And so is there a way to contact you if we have?
Yes, you can go to my website at www.getitdonev, as in virtual, A, assistant, C, company. So getitdonevac.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. And then, and if you want to go to my personal page, Haja, Naimah, Abdullah, Mwenda, on Facebook as well. But yeah, you can follow me on all of those.
Is this right, Naimah, at the bottom?
Girl, I don't have my look.
She don't got her glasses.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. I heard that, you know, you got to get your somebody at Party City. I said, is it hot out? Is it hot in here? Or am I like starting something? Is this like the beginning of me going through this?
Girl.
And she said, no, it's hot in here.
Okay.
She said, well, how old are you? I said, well, I just turned 41. She said, do you have your glasses yet? I said, no. She said, oh, you're getting those next year, probably.
Yes.
The beauty of Asian, child. The beauty of Asian. So tap into Naimah. I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Last but not least, the Dope Muslim Woman is hosting our cohort. It's a 3-week intensive called Codependent No More, breaking out the cycle of codependency. And that starts next Sunday. And it's a 3-week intensive. And you can register it by going to our link tree, Dope Muslim Woman. And that's on all of our pages, Instagram, Facebook. You can just go ahead and tap right in. But I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much to both Naimahs, aka Crystal Byrd, inshallah. Thank you so much. I have a Facebook user that said, I have been wanting to do a shoot, so please leave the contact. Inshallah, we'll be making the 50th anniversary of life on the 6th.
Yes. So, do it, honey.
Do it, right?
Yes. Well,
all right.
50 Club.
50 Club. Thank you.
I feel like the 50s are showing up. They're showing up and they're showing out for these 40 over 40. I'm waiting for my 40-year-olds. Like, where are y'all at? The 50-year-olds are showing out on us.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The 40-year-olds, we acting scared, but the 50-year-olds, they're not scared
they
of nothing.
They're just out there. Because Naimah, you made it look absolutely dope. Okay? So.
Yeah, she came through. She said, deck me out, honey. What you got in here? Like, what you got? Oh, we're gonna add on to that. We just building and building. I said, okay.
Yes, do it. That's a great experience.
Thank you, ladies, so much. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Dope Muslim Woman podcast. Inshallah, until next time. Assalamu alaikum.